time for Cleared to Play. Let's take you inside the tent, get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment and bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Nirav Pandya. Doctor, great to talk to you. Before we dive into some injuries, who's playing basketball tonight?
Chris Paul plays basketball tonight.
Oh, wow.
Man, getting on the bandwagon. I love it.
I'm out on this interview. That's it. You do the interview. No, we'll circle back to that, but we're sitting here talking about Trent Williams, and this is a perfect one for you, Doc, because I'd love to know how you translate this. They're still saying it's not a high ankle sprain, but they're also saying it's worse than they thought, and his injury history is making it a slow recovery. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I think even though there may not be a, quote unquote, a high ankle sprain, he has had a significant injury in that area before. And even though there may not be an active injury to that part, if you've had a prior high ankle sprain, it's going to place a lot more strain on the ankle in general and make a low ankle sprain potentially take longer to heal. Just that whole area is compromised and everything is so interconnected. So the fact that he's had an ankle injury in general and it happens to be a high ankle and he's a big player and the position he plays, it's not surprising that it's taking longer for this to heal. And it may be something that may mean another week or two out because, you don't want him to get that other injury and then it's a 6 to 8 week long recovery. Better to err on the safe side, just given the fact that he's had ankle issues in general, high ankle before, and sounds like what they're reporting a low ankle now. It's just all interconnected.
What are the movements that he has to undergo that affect the ankle so much more than perhaps a different position?
So I think a lot of it is when you are in that blocking position, you're doing agility and taking force backwards. And not only are you doing agility, which places strain on the ankle, but then having to plant and kind of hold people from getting the quarterback, or even when you're run blocking or you're pass blocking going forward as well too. You're not only doing agility, but doing power as well too. So you need to be able to stabilize everything down there to be able to be powerful. And if there's any compromise in the ankle, it can tremendously impact your ability to be effective. Now with a wide receiver, you just have to cut. You're not really doing anything powerful with that ankle, so you can come back a little bit earlier. But for him, he's combining both power and agility, which places a tremendous amount of strain, particularly at his size.
Doc Pandya with us, Cleared to Play. It's interesting. I think we've heard you talk so many times about when there's an ACL, not just the year after they return, but the year after that, and how that's sort of the optimal spot. So I'm sitting here looking at Chase Young's injury history. His ACL tear was almost 2 years ago to the day, November 14th, 2021. So what are the 49ers getting in terms of Chase Young and health?
I think they're getting the optimal version of him, and hopefully the rookie season Chase Young when he was Defensive Rookie of the Year. If you look at kind of pretty much ACLs globally, it's 18 to 24 months afterwards where your mechanics return, your confidence returns, your explosiveness returns. So that first season back, people may be quote-unquote cleared, but that ability to kind of to compete at that high level just takes time to get back. These athletes haven't been playing live football for 9 to 12 months. That first season essentially is glorified practice, even though there are exceptions like a Nick Bosa or an Adrian Peterson in the past. But for most people, it's that second year. So if we're going to see optimal Chase Young, it's going to be in this season as the 49ers have acquired him, if he can stay healthy.
Hopefully he can get that optimum ability underway this Sunday at Jacksonville. Deebo Samuel still nursing that broken shoulder, so to speak. What is his return to play going to be like? And when he gets back on the field, how limited will they make him?
Yeah, so a lot of it has to do with what area is actually, particularly broken. But in general, you see the videos of him. He's got no issues in terms of mobility. They're letting him practice. So that indicates to me that most likely this is an area that's more of a pain generator than necessarily an issue that's really important for structure of the shoulder. So when you have these fractures that potentially may not necessarily be in a critical area near a joint or kind of important for motion, then it's really a matter of, okay, can the athlete actually function appropriately, which based on the videos looks like he's okay, and how is that area going to respond to contact? So is he going to have a lot of pain where suddenly the bone's kind of sort of healed, he gets hit, and then he's out for another 4 to 5 weeks? Or is it an area where you're like, look, as long as his pain controlled, the risk of it getting worse is not very high. So based on what they're reporting, the fact that they didn't put him on the IR, which would mean, more of an 8-week-long recovery, I wouldn't be surprised if you do see him play in the next week or two, even potentially this Sunday, because that risk of it getting worse is significantly less. And potentially his pain is much better under control. And if you look at fractures in the first, after about 2 to 3 weeks, the pain usually goes away. Then you're just worried really about, does it impact function, and is it going to be a pain generator for an athlete?
Doc, definitely want to get some Warriors from you as well. We've watched this team so far this year. Only on 2 individual occasions has any player played 35 minutes. Strength in numbers is back. They definitely are keeping the minutes down. What do you see as how that could affect the Warriors toward the end of the year?
I think it's going to play a tremendous role in keeping them fresh and kind of healthy. And what you're looking at, particularly with the older core, is when you look at injury risk, you're seeing large chunks of minutes that are higher than what their averages are for their career over a 10 to 15 game stretch. When you start deviating from that, that's when you worry about injury risk. So I'm sure the Warriors training staff, Rick Celebrini, are saying, look, let's keep everyone in general under this basically minutes restrictions, and we're going to prevent those soft tissue injuries down the road or them just simply getting tired when they come to that latter part of the season. Because we clearly know that they've got the skill. What's going to be the downfall of this team is if they're tired, if they're getting injured, if they're getting beat up into the playoffs. So they can keep those minutes low. And every now and then, if there's a high minute game for a player, that doesn't necessarily mean that suddenly they're going to be out for 3 games. But on average, if you keep those minutes low, it's going to improve performance and prevent injury and keep them healthy for the playoffs.
Jamal Murray out tonight, and the Nuggets saying he's likely out for the month with a hamstring strain. Is this indicative of a grade 2, or are they just erring on the side of caution with a grade 1?
I think when they're already deciding it's going to be this long as opposed to, week to week or 7 to 10 days, probably means it's more a grade 2. And the one thing we do know with hamstring strains, particularly in NBA players, different in NFL players, is that once you have that hamstring strain, you are predisposed to get other injuries as well, too. You can potentially then be at risk for that ACL injury or for that ankle injury just because of the way the hamstring helps to stabilize basketball players as opposed to football players where it's more just kind of an explosive type of issue. So probably means it's a grade 2. Also, given his injury history, they're probably being extra cautious. And the last thing you want for one of their key players is to have this hamstring issue then come back and be a chronic issue as the season goes on. So probably a combination of grade 2 and then being extra cautious given his injury history.
Okay, Doc, I know that it's working, and so everyone's happy about it, but answer this question. Is it still a little weird to see Chris Paul in a Warriors uniform?
It is. Yeah, I will. Okay. It's definitely weird, especially when you look back at some videos from games past, you're like, we really didn't like this guy. But now, seeing him run the second unit, everything's all right. Anytime the second unit can keep a team up, I'll take it. And it seems to be Chris Paul holding it down for everybody.
There you go. We got Warriors basketball tonight on 95.7 The Game. Doc, thank you so much.
No problem. Take care, guys.